Hey guys, welcome back. It's a bit technical issues there, so sorry for starting a minute late, but we're okay. Let me just check everything. Everything seems okay. So, what we've done today, earlier on, is start on research, okay? And what you will see is that our research is actually happening. Okay, now we are controlling our research by this data table and another data table, which is this one here. So we need 100 copper sheet and I believe 100 copper ore, or sorry, iron sheet, copper sheet, iron sheet, right? For the second one, if we wish to make it. Okay? But what we can do is we can check our controller and change this to something we have so that we can actually make it. So we've got 500 copper sheets, so we can make that. I believe we have the iron sheets as well, so we have 500 of them, so we're good to go. And what we can do is, well, I'll tell you what, let's make a widget. Right, so we're going to research and we're going to enter widgets again, and we shall go on to our, we'll just create a new widget. Okay, so what we're going to do is create like an announcement, and we're going to call it research complete. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in a canvas panel. Then we're going to do a vertical box. This canvas panel here we shall center it, and we shall size it to content. Okay, then we need 0.5, 0.5 in alignment. Then we place a vertical box in here, and then we shall do a text box, not a text box but just text, and that's going to say research complete. Okay, that's going to get changed to simplifier, and we're going to bang that to 32, and we are going to center the text. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an image. Hey Cactus, nice to see you back. So we are putting this in the vertical box, and this is going to be img research item. And just for a laugh, what we'll do is probe. This is going to give us an idea of what we want, right? So that's going to be, let's say, 250 by 250, except I put 300. Okay, we don't want that. This vertical box is going to size to fill. That's better. A little bit of frog in my throat there. Right, so we're going to say research complete. This isn't big enough, so we're going to put that to 48. Okay, and then we're going to wrap this in a scale box. And then we're going to do a text. We're going to stop this actually. Right. We're going to do a text. That's going to go in our vertical box. It's going to be at the bottom again. We're going to make this slightly smaller. So, in effect, we'll give this a 40. And we shall center it again. And this is going to be a variable, and we're going to call it txt research. Okay, so this is going to kind of look like this. If I do this, probe, just, it's going to pull this in. This is a variable, right? So, how are you doing tonight, Cactus? How's it going, mate? Now, I am actually tempted to wrap this whole thing in a border. Right, and then set the border to our usual kind of blue color, and then set our two texts right to be black. Okay, that, and then actually with our image also turn that to black. Right, and now I don't like it at all. So what we're going to do is we're going to wrap this in a border, and we're going to wrap this in a border, right, and then we shall redo these. I'll turn these back to white. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. And our two borders, we shall turn the two borders to black. How's that then, guys? You like that? Now, our canvas, our border here, has it got any padding on it? No. Has the vertical box got padding on it? Yes. So we turn the padding off and we get that, right? So we can save that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add an animation called grow. Then we're going to add an animation called collapse. Okay. And if we go back to here, can we change the size of this? Yes, we can. Okay, so in our grow, right, where's our animation about? Right, okay. We might need to do the old compile thing. Where's our animation thing? Where's our animation? Here, right. Duh. Too busy staring at it. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to get this border, this canvas panel, right? And then we're going to add something to the transform. We're going to bring this up a bit. And we're going to say scale. And what we're going to do with the scale is we're going to say 0, 0. And then we're going to move it and we're going to hit our buttons and we're going to say 1 and 1. Okay, so in actual fact we don't really need the collapse because we can just play this one in reverse, right? But quite simply put, it should grow out the middle of the screen. So if we look at this, we go to the graph and on event construct, can I drag these in actually? Well, apparently we can. Right. So on event construct, we play animation forward. right? And the animation is going to be grow. Okay. And then we create, actually we don't. What we do is we delay do a delay for, let's say, 4 seconds, and then we do the same thing again, except what we do is play it in reverse. So play. Thank you for the sub, whoever subbed. Lonar, very kind of you. Much appreciated. So what we're going to do is play in reverse. Play. Okay, we need to grab off here first. Play in reverse. And then basically what we do is we remove from parent. Okay. So we save that. And in fact, I think what we might need to do here is basically set this canvas panel, right, and set the scale to 0 and 0. It is actually. I think, would that normally be 1 and 1? I don't know. Well, we'll not worry about that. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so we go back to here, and these two items right, we're going to set up 2 variables for these. So it's going to be image so we'll just say research image, and that's going to be a texture 2D. Okay, and then we need one for the text, right? So basically we set that to instance editable expose on spawn, and then we set one more, which is going to be tx research text. Right? So this is going to be quick and cheap and cheerful. So on event construct, we're going to get our text research. We're going to get it. Then we're going to set text. Don't know why, but I just love saying that text. Because usually when you're showing people stuff in Unreal Engine, it just sounds like a really weird, stupid thing, but it is actually a thing. Set text. Anyway, this is going to be a string, and this string is going to go in here. Okay. Then we get our research item. We get that. And we say from texture So we're setting the brush from the texture. Okay. Oopsie. Oopsie doopsie. Right, we'll set this up like so. So we'll save that. Okay, and now when we complete a research, right, when we complete the research, which is basically here, is it here? No, it's not. Right. So we've got the name, but we don't have anything else, right? So the point being that we have to have a look in here, right? We're not getting that. So the name, I think, is the actual name. So what we need to do is we need to say, well, get data table row, and this is going to be research items, right? And we have to do a replace on this. Replace any spaces with nothing. Then this becomes our row name, which is easier to do. And we really need to tidy this up a bit. I'm not too happy with the way this is looking, to be honest. Anyway, so we get the row found. We're going to probably need a bit more space because we're going to create the widget. Okay. So we're going to get this out. We're going to break struct names, struct items actually. Then we're going to create a widget. And it's going to be W research complete. I'm going to put it there. Then we put the image in here. And the name in here. And we join that up, drag it down, and put it back here. Save that. So if we start a new game here, I wonder if you can do that. I'm going to check that in a second. So we'll call this game 002. Okay, that. Right. Then we'll do that. We'll do that. We'll close that. And then we just need to wait for 10 seconds. Right. Oh, spot the obvious mistake. He didn't add it to the viewport. Duh. Simplest things you forget when you're in a hurry. So we add to viewport. And we do that. Save that. And then we try it all again. But we need to create a new game. I'm going to check this. I wonder if you can select the text in a text box. 003. Okay, that. Let's see if this works. Okay. Why are you not working? Right, we're going to try something here because there's something weird going on. I'm going to press play. I'm going to press continue. That's game 3, right? Research isn't completing for whatever reason. I'll close that for now. Now that did work. Right, not that we got to see it. So it would appear that the load game isn't quite working properly on the first round of what you do. Right? So we'll call this game 4. And we shall check this issue out in a second. Right, what I mean is the first time you come in, right, it loads the game with your new save game slot, right? Then the first time you come in here and you start research, right, then it should do exactly the same thing. So it should hit this breakpoint, right? But it appears it's not hitting this breakpoint. But it did. Okay. So if we press resume, okay. Right, tell you what we'll do is we shall add this to the FE controller, right, as a button press. And we shall make it down. So instead of up, we're going to go keyboard down. Okay, and then create widget. This means we can fire this off whenever we can see it, so we don't need to wait on it actually making the, or doing the resource thing. right? Processing the resources. All we need to do is just hit this button, and we should get this research complete. And then we basically add to viewport, right? And what we can do is, if we go into here and we break that, we can basically set these two things up as right. So we have the image, so we've got the probe and we've got probe 1, right? So we've got a default set. So now if we continue and we hit the down button, we can see that this is working. Weird thing is, why did it not work? Is it because we did a texture, a brush from texture, maybe? I think that's the only explanation. Now, I can do it slightly different. So what we'll do is, this text box appears to have some padding on it. Yep. Right, so what we'll do is we'll just try that again to make sure it's exactly how we want it to look. Now the top one seems to have padding in it. Right. Now what we can do with this is, rather than setting the brush from texture, right, what we can do is we can set the brush, right, and then instead of doing that, right, what we can do is we can make the brush and actually just put the image in. So we can do research image here, and then we can set this to, I think it was 350. Right, and if we look at this and we look at the image, we've got a tint of black. Okay, so if we go back to here and make slate color, then we can just basically click on this and turn it to black. Save that, and let's see. Well, first of all, we'll check our button. That's weird. Right, let's have a look at this again. Right, what we'll do is we'll roll it along here. Well, enjoy your time here, FF. Any questions, feel free to ask away. This text box, for some reason, has got some sort of a border. The border has no padding. Right, that might be us now. So what's this one set to? 0, 0. And this one Right. Okay, we're going with that. So let's have a look here. We'll probably have to start a new game. Right. Remind me to check if I can select all the text. Right. Because that's the way I want to start the game, so that it's got the text on the screen, but it automatically deletes when you start typing. Okay. That's the plan. So was that like, let's call this game 5 because I'm not sure if there's a game 4. And we select this and we select the probe. So we are now researching the probe. Excitement. And there we go. What do you think of that, guys? Now here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. That didn't actually do what we thought it would do, right? Because what actually happened there was it didn't play in reverse. Right? Watch this, right? So that's me doing the same thing. It should actually just reduce in size back, but it's actually just doing that. Right? So that's not right. We don't like that. That's bad. We don't like bad. We like good. Now, so I'm wondering here, can we actually... Yeah, I can. Right, I'm going to do collapse, right? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, right? And this is going to be called collapse, right? And then at point 1, we're going to change these to 1, right? And here, we're going to change them to 0, right? So it's just basically a reverse of what we were doing before. Okay? Save that. Then we'll do our graph. And I didn't do that properly the last time. So we'll do that. We'll do that. And we shall do that. Now this might not still work quite right. So what I'm going to do is we're going to paste that. We're going to remove this because that's the play reverse, right? So we're going to do that. We're going to delete that, right? Because we don't want grow anymore. We want collapse, right? So we put that in there and we can save that, right? And now we can test it. And apparently it doesn't want to do anything. Okay, that's a bit weird. You know that thing that was working earlier, guys? It's not working anymore. If I plugged this, if I removed a pin or something. Right, let's just make sure this is all alright. Okay. Right, so we'll do that just now. No, apparently the down button doesn't work anymore. isn't that kind of weird? Right, add breakpoint. Okay. So why is it not working? Oh well. Well, this is freaking weird. This is freaking weird indeed. So it's got a scale of 1. Okay. So let's go back to our graph, right? And we shall basically plug this straight into our delay. Okay. Notice that. No, that is the right thing there. Right, I'm getting myself confused because I've got a bit of an issue here. Right, if that doesn't play, I'm beginning to get myself confused. There we go. Now, call this weird as absolute crap, right? But that does say collapse. That does say collapse, but it ain't bloomin' collapsing. Of course it's not, because I'm an idiot. Right? No, wait a minute, that's right. Right, so that's 1. Why is that not 1? No, that's wrong. So that should be 0. That should be 0. Right? And then here, that. Okay. I think I changed the wrong animation the last time. So when I thought I was changing collapse, I was actually changing grow. Right? So this one should go 1, 1. Right? And that should be 0, 0. Okay? So we save that. We go back to our graph. And we plug this back in here. And hopefully you'll see the effect that I want. Okay? So we go for this. Right? Just resume, please. Right, that's sodden weird. I'm sodden weirded by that. Right? This is beginning to be... Right. How come this one is at 1? Right? Right, that's fine. Right, that was weird. Right, save that. That's the way I want it. Now, the one that's disappearing isn't working yet for some reason. Resume that. Right, that's what we want, right? But we don't want it to just disappear. Right? We want it to collapse. Right, so we've got our collapse. Playback speed do. Right, so we go back to here. And see, this one's changed as well. So that's 1. Hit return. And then it should, yeah, that's what you should do. You should gradually get smaller. Right? So, okay. Right, just play for God's sake. And here we go. Nope. Doesn't want to do it. Just does not want to do it. The scale is 1. It should take 2 seconds and the scale should go back down to 0. I don't get it. Don't get it, guys. Right, I do get it. I do get it. I think I know what the problem is. Right, I think I need another delay. Right, and I think we can get I wonder if we can get the animation time. Or is it length? Nope. Let's see, and nope. Okay, we'll forget about that. We know it's 2 seconds, right? So we'll just put in 2. Let's not try and make this more difficult for ourselves than it needs to be. Right, so there we go. Thank goodness for that. That was a bit of a fluff about, guys, wasn't it? Right, so now we need to check it in the right context. Now, there's one thing I do want to find out here. Right, compile that. Now, what I want to know is, if I just go here, right? Now, I'm going to delete this again, so don't worry. This is just me mucking about, right? But if I put an editable text box, right? and I put it into here. I'm just wondering if this, right, can be select get text Is there a option for this? What do you think, guys? Is there an option for this? Is there like a selected text? Or is visible, is read only? I'm wondering if this is like a Windows thing, that there's like some sort of a other command that's not on this, but you set the focus. You know how you can set focus? Can you get set as focusable, set focus actor, or when you set this in the designer, right? If we set that in there, is there a behavior that does this? Accessibility, it's not that. Tooltip is enabled. Select all text when you use it to give focus. Select all text on commit changes. So in theory it should be that one, right? So if we go back to our main menu, right? And we go to new game, we have the widget new game, right? And this text here, that thing that we just clicked on, which is select all text, should be that, right? So this might kill two birds with one stone. I'm glad I looked into this with you guys. And there we go. Beautiful. It's exactly what I want. Game 006. Okay. Then we set our probe. We close it. And hopefully at some point and there we go. Lovely. There we go. Did you like that, guys? I quite like that. Right, but I think what we need here is we need a 6 second. So we get 2 seconds of this, the animation expanding, then we get 4 second break, and then we get a 2 second it collapsing again, right? And that's the way that's going to work. So on that point, it's an hour gone, and I have to go and take a break and get a drink and a cigarette. So I shall be back in 2.5 minutes. Don't go anywhere, guys, I won't be long. Okay, we're back. Little sippy cola there. God, I hate Coke, but it's wet and it's cold. So we've got that working, right? So what we should be able to do now is in our data tables, we should be able to change the second one, right? We don't want it to do it 100 because that's going to then take 100 seconds to do it. So we'll change this to 5 and 5 and save that, and then if we now continue, we should be able to actually select the second probe, right? And if we select that and close it, then in about 5 seconds we should get the message again. And there we go. And you'll notice it says probe 2. Right? So it's taking all the values from the right places. And for some reason, unbeknownst to me, right, we get that little blue bar at the bottom, which has now come into existence for some unknown reason. Right? And it's because that editable text, which we don't want. So we'll save that, and that should be us. So whenever now we finish, so this basically displays the fact, right, that we can go through the tree now, right? We can go through the research tree, and all we actually need to do, we've got it to save. It's now saving the right things. So if we press continue again, right, and we go to here, you'll notice these are complete, right, but this one's not. So in effect, this is working absolutely spot on, right? So with that in mind, we could, well, we don't know what we're actually going to fill these in with. We just wanted to do a check to make sure it was working, and it is working, right? Now what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you where I am with the, what do you call it? I'm going to show you where I am with the conveyor belts. Okay, I was working on this last night and then off stream and various other places, right? Now you'll notice that when I do this, it kind of works, but it kind of doesn't, right? So you build your conveyor, right? And if you don't get it in line, it doesn't matter, as long as you highlight what you want it to connect to, right? And then what it does is it redraws the spline in the correct position, right? So you'll see that got a breakpoint there, right? But it doesn't quite do it right. You see, it does it, right? But it kind of leaves. Hi, Dalian. It kind of leaves like a residue. Now, this isn't a spline point, right, anymore. But it doesn't, for some reason, delete it. Now, I can prove that, right, because if I don't think it's in this code here. Some of that's just printing out strings, by the way, so don't worry about it. Right, but the point is, right, we'll close some of these. Right, we'll make this a bit bigger so that we can see what's going on. and in draw the spline, right, in the final draw the spline, okay, we can delete this and we can delete this. Right, now there's two. Right, where have I got this? I had something that drew right, let me show you. So when we draw the final spline, okay, this is our spline points here, okay, and we add this points to the spline. But what we shall do is we're going to spawn something at the spline points, okay? So we'll say for each, and this is just to demonstrate that that residue part is actually not part of the spline, and it should have been cleared, but it's not getting cleared properly, right? So if we do that, then we join that back up to here, and what we'll actually do is we'll drag this up to here, and we shall break this, right? And then we shall spawn actor from class, right? And I believe the one I was using was like the truck or something. Yeah, that one will do. How are you tonight, Dalian? Or Dalian? Right, is this going to actually just save this or what? This has suddenly went. Right. I'm getting scared now. It's time to save all. Right. So what we can do is we can split this. We can put the position in here. So that's going to give us where the spline points are, right? And then if we do like 0.1, because this truck is quite big, so if we make it 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, you'll get the idea, right, of what I'm trying to do here. So we do that, we can save that. So now if all of the spline parts should now, well, yeah, it's doing shaders. Right, okay. That wasn't obviously the truck I did last night, but we shan't worry too much about it. Let's just ignore that fact, in fact. Right, so basically we build our conveyor, right? And this is going to take a second by the looks of it. Yeah, it's wanting to compile these shaders. Alright. We'll let it go and do its thing. Shall we? Shall we let it go do its thing? Right. Everybody just have a little sing to themselves at the moment. Right, let's try it. So we click on here. Right, now you'll notice, this is what I mean here, right? There's a little box truck at every point at the spline, right? But there isn't one here, which means that this isn't part of the spline. Okay? So, for whatever reason, it isn't clearing the spline properly. So, there's that. Okay? That is my major issue at the moment with the spline and then rejigging it. As you can see, it absolutely rejigs it perfectly for me. But for whatever reason, it's not clearing the previous spline, right? I haven't got an answer for that one yet, but we're going to think about it, okay? And with that, we shall move on to something else. Now, if any of you guys in the chat have got any idea for products that we can make, then let me know right now. Oh, here's the thing. Would you guys like to see the game working? Because there's always people in here, like I've obviously just been coding and doing a little pop-up for a widget. So maybe you guys would like to see the game in action. Not 100% sure, let me know in the chat if you would, or if I should just continue on with what I'm doing. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to leave this code here so that I can play with it later to find out what that problem is, right? Because it's a really strange one and I don't know why it's doing it, right? And I'm basically clearing the mesh components about 100 times, right? And it still won't do it. So I'll let you see for the code for that, and then I'll put it here again in my vain attempt to actually clear this thing down. So if we have a look at the event graph, this part here actually clears all the components, right, of the spline. So this is the thing that deletes the old spline before you put up a new spline, right? That's kind of how spline works, that you basically clear down the old spline, and as you're moving the spline around, you create the new spline. Okay, so what we're going to do is, out of desperation, we're going to do this again. Okay, which is kind of my final attempt to get this spline actually working. So we'll plonk that in there, and we shall plonk that in there. And we'll try that again. Okay. Right, so we should be ready. We'll click on that, we'll click on that, and we'll click on that. And that worked. Okay, can we repeat that? Now, the thing is here, what I'm doing, I want to see two different things, right? Because what I do here is I delay this, right, by a second, right? Which is probably why you see the remnant to the spline for a second, right? But what we really want to do is not wait that time. What we want to do is just kill it immediately, right? So we'll try that. And hopefully you guys have inspired me to have another look at this, and maybe we've got the answer. But I've had this happen a few times, that it works once and then it stops. Guys, that was perfect. Let's try that again. If this works for a third time, I'm beginning to think it might actually have been the solution. So if we do that, we click on that, then we have to wait till this becomes active, then we click on that, we drag that up a bit. Now this will literally do it if I click here, right? And then I click on the thing. Or at least it should have. Did I do that wrong? I'm going to stop that. Let's try that again. Right, because this might be a problem. It might be a problem if it's too far away. I didn't think it would be a problem if it was too far away. There we go. Beautiful. Not quite beautiful, but pretty beautiful. I mean, the thing about it is it kind of works best if you're close, so that might be something I consider, like reining it in that you can only do it at a certain distance. Let's try that again. Or I could rebuild the spline slightly differently. I'm beginning to think that I'm trying to give the players options here, right? And I'm kind of thinking that, there we go. So it redraws the spline and plugs it in. So I want to try something again here because it looks like it's getting some things slightly wrong. I mean, it is working, but it does get it slightly wrong, as you'll have noticed from the previous one where there's a little kink in the spline. Right, so if we roll to here, see, that one's perfect. So it obviously depends how close to the edge of another spline it is, or a spline point, right? Now, one of the problems with this is that I need to do some coding for if you go too far. Okay, this only works if you're stretching out the spline. What I need to do is also write the code where I have to pull in the spline, right, which is going to be slightly different. Well, actually, it's going to be totally different. Okay, but I'm happy now that we are clearing that other spline. That is excellent. That's exactly what we want. Okay. So we're not going to work on that because number one, it's getting late, and number two, I hadn't really planned on doing that tonight. So with that in mind, what else could we have a look at? Right, let's have a look to see what we can have a look at. Oh yeah, one thing. There's one thing here that I really want to change because I noticed it the other day, and that was in the models. This widget, right, basically needs import settings, and the transform needs to be 90%, sorry, 90 on the Z axis. Okay. And then save that, re-import, right? So it needs to be like that. There we have a lovely widget. Right. So let's have a look at how this all looks. Right, we're going to stay the heck away from there, but what we're going to do is we're going to build. Okay, we're not. We're going to fire probes, right, and we're going to hope to goodness that it's a bauxite. Then we're going to build that there. And once we have that, right, we've got our bauxite site. We can now turn that around. And let's check what this is once it becomes active. And as per usual, it's not a bauxite mine. So we're going to have to go with our probes again. Fire there. And in the meantime, what we'll do is we shall build a smelter and a fabricator. Right, and once we've built them, we can spin it around. Once this one's built, we can spin it around. And what we got here, I'll bet it's another copper, guarantee it. Just my luck. Nope, it's a bauxite. Right, so what we can do is if we build our conveyors, right, we can make it come all the way around here and that adjusts it. Then we can build another one. We can build it to here. Right, we can build another one here. Okay, apparently that didn't work. So okay, so that's not happening. I haven't got this thing set up for the, yeah. But the thing is, what you can see here is that our miner is putting out mining stuff. Our thing there is doing the, let's do this. Oh, I can't afford it now, darn it. Right, but as you can see, we have different objects. And there is a little demonstration of how it works. Even though I'm pretty disappointed that this didn't work with this thing here. Right? But anyway, what I need to do is go, you see, the only one I did this for was I was testing it on the refiner. So like the refiner is the only one that does certain things. Right? But then again, it should have worked. There was no reason why it shouldn't have worked. There's no reason why it shouldn't have connected to the input of that item, right? So what we'll do is, this is the refiner, okay? So we'll do the exact same thing as here. So we'll copy that, right? Except we shall go to the smelter, which isn't going to be in this list. Right, so if we go to the smelter, there is a plain 0 and there is a plain 1. So I should be able to just paste this code in, and it didn't work. Right, now it didn't work because we need to set up the dynamic material. Right, now this is where I'm going to agree with you guys that this isn't a good idea. It should all be in the one place. Right, but we basically do create this material. right? So we can copy that. And we can move this across a bit. We can paste that. Okay. Then we can do that and promote that. And it's going to be matte green arrow. And return. And we can delete that. We can plop that in there, that in there. We can join that up a bit and then move it out of the way so I can move this other stuff out of the way. I'll move that up out of the way. Usually event begins usually just grow and grow and grow during the process of writing this stuff. Right, so we're going to do that there. We do that there. Right, and we plonk that in there. We save that. And now if we hover over that plane, it heightens and darkens the emissive color on it, right? So we can basically do the same on the fabricator. So we've got a refiner done, we've got a smelter done, now we need a fabricator done. Okay, so we basically do the same thing, we just copy and we paste that stuff in there. We go back to our smelter. And we go back to our begin play. We grab these. We copy them. We go back to our fabricator. Is this our begin play? Yep. And we paste them in there. Then we create matte green arrow. And that is going to be a material instance. Save that. Yeah. So we change that over. Plug that in. Refresh that. And I am guessing that it doesn't like that. So we're going to put in here and that is going to go in there. That goes in there. If I can click on the right thing, save that. Doesn't like that. Okay, well, we can do that. Right, we'll delete that first. we set matte green arrow. Matte green arrow is a material instance. So why is it not right? Get rid of them. In fact, let's not get rid of them. Why can't we set a scalar parameter on this? Okay, tell you what, we're going to delete that, right? I maybe didn't like the order that I did this in, so we'll delete that, and we'll delete that, right? And then we shall delete this. And now what we'll do is we shall promote this to a variable, and we'll call it, what do you think, matte green arrow. Then this can go in here, then that can go in there, right? We can save that. It doesn't like that for some reason, which is that there, and there we go. It does like it now. So it didn't like it before, but it likes it now. So we can now plug that one in, and that's all good. Can refresh that, and that's us done for those 2, 3, 4, 5, however many it was. Right, so now those should all highlight when basically you're hovered over them. Now, we only want this to happen basically when we are in a certain mode, which is add to spline, okay? So, what we can do is say controller, if I can spell it right. So we can get the controller, right? And we can say get current game mode. And then we can say equals, and it is add to spline. Okay, the only time these should highlight or not highlight is when it's add to spline. Okay, and actually the only time it should highlight or change is for this one, right? So if they click on this, then this one still has to activate, right? So we'll put that in. We'll move this across. We're going to put this in each of the different buildings. So we're going to branch off of here. Okay. And then we'll do that. And that, and we shall select that, and we shall copy it and save it. Then we shall go into our smelter and we shall do the same. So it's going to go in here. So if we paste that and drag it up to here, that'll be good. Just redo these nodes, save that, go into the refinery, and we'll do the same thing. We'll drag that out, we'll paste it, we'll drag it back a bit, that'll be that, and there we go. So in theory now all our little green arrows should light up, but only if we hover over them in a certain mode, right? So what we can actually do here is we can build our different buildings, right? So let's build them. We shall obviously spin them round in a minute to something that's going to suit us better, right? So we'll spin that round, and we'll spin that round. Okay. So now, and the funny thing is, we can do it from here, right? If we go to here, and then hover over this, it lights up, right? And then what we can do is, this should light up, which it does, right? This should light up, which it does. And these two, well, this one, you can see that hovering over this is quite difficult. So, and hovering over this one isn't going to do anything, but you can see that that has to be precision done. Right now, yeah. We are going to have to put a distance thing on this, because obviously if you go miles away, it just doesn't do it. Right? But fundamentally, our lighting up of those things in the correct context is right. That's what we wanted it to do. So on that, guys, I hope you have enjoyed the stream. It's a good place to stop, because basically we've kind of done everything that we were planning to do tonight and more. We got that research widget showing up when you finish your research. The research is actually working properly. We got the widget thing, or sorry, the conveyor belt splines working better. Not complete, but working better. And we need to now take a look at something else tomorrow, which is going to be tying down a bit better the clamping onto the inputs, right? Because that's why it all went wrong when I was trying to build all the buildings together. It wasn't quite precise enough, which obviously is going to be helped by the fact that the arrows light up if you're over the top of the arrows, right? So that was the point of that. So I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you for coming along. Do all the usual stuff. Subscribe. Check out the description for my previous game on Steam, for the Discord server, Patreon, all that stuff. and I hope you can join me in the future, and we shall speak again soon. Bye bye for now.